right, so we are about to start our second, is this our second live podcast?
Second live podcast.
Second live podcast. We've got recording it, but it should show up in about a week or so. And what we do now is, for those of you who are new, some of you are veterans to our podcast, but what we do is we pair a bourbon with a horror movie, and then we review the bourbon, then we review the horror movie. So we do have a microphone that's up there. We do want audience participation. Our first podcast, we had a lot of, we'll call them technical issues. We don't know what we're doing with video and audio, so we're trying it out. The last time the video and audio sounded like crap. We've got new microphones now. We've got new video cameras now. Well, phones. So we've got it all connected. We've got new technical boards. Hopefully, this will be marginally better than the last one. That's what we're shooting for.
We're only going for a margin.
Margin's fine.
And we're not discussing what that margin is.
Also, we have trivia that we're going to ask after we review the movie. We'll do some trivia at the end. Audience participation. If you answer the trivia, you get prizes. And we've got some awesome prizes up here. If you're a fan of the Evil Dead franchise, you will really get into this. All right, I see some excited people. That's what I like.
That's a good sign.
All right, and hopefully we'll be able to do some video on the podcast or on the video part of the podcast of the audience. So if you come up and ask a question, we assume that you are okay with showing your face on our video podcast. So just that little caveat.
If not, you can still walk up and just cover your face.
There you go.
Yeah.
Go like this. That'll look good on camera. Something you can show your mom.
Okay.
Oh,
Like an Evil Dead
We just told
modulation.
you all the technical issues we're having.
Yeah.
it'll probably sound modulated anyway.
Yeah, it'll be,
Yeah.
or it'll be me going,
We're
the question
capable of
is.
that. So, Logan, what did we just watch today? What's going on?
Well,
Is that a Warwick thing?
No, but
We're going to do our actual
we need to do
intro.
our
Let's do
regular
our intro.
intros.
Yeah.
We didn't do our intro. We're going to still put this on the podcast.
By the way, I'm still not used to this microphone being right in front of
I
me,
know.
so I'm a very
I know.
handy person.
Well,
So if he
So-
smacks the mic, just laugh at him.
like we did.
We'll turn that into a drinking game.
Yes.
That's awesome. That
So-
would be so awesome.
Welcome everybody that's out in YouTube / wherever land, podcast land. And we'll just call it that.
And you guys as well.
And to those that are in the audience here, which are way cooler than the people that have to watch this later on, just saying. But welcome, everybody. This is Midnight Movie Distillery. I'm one of your hosts, Logan Lynch.
I'm another one of your hosts, Warwick Price.
And I'm Lon Black. And tonight we're reviewing a movie we just watched here live, which is...
The Evil Dead.
Oh.
And you made a good key point there, which is basically that for everyone who is watching on video and is used to us being over there with the TV behind us, we just watched The Evil Dead live with a bunch of wonderful people. And so you're going to get...
That's you guys. in
That's
case
you
didn't
guys.
know. Yeah.
And so you're going to get to... or at least appear interested.
Yes.
So you're going to get to hear them ask questions and interact with the show. So I got to remember to look at the camera and not down
Not
at
there.
the TV.
I know. I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking at the monitor.
You just like looking at yourself. We get it.
This is
do.
new to us, people. This part is new to us.
Yes. Normally,
All right.
normally the TV is like right up, kind of where the camera is. So
All right.
Anyway.
So one of the things we do is, of course, like I said, we pair a bourbon with the movie. So tonight's bourbon...
And it's a surprise to us.
Yeah,
until
I
he
don't let
brings
them
it
know
in.
about it.
Yes.
I pick the bourbons at a time. This was a little easy, and yet I'm not sure. Well, let's just pull it up. Let's stop talking about it and just see it. Tonight's bourbon is actually called Red Saw.
ooh,
If anybody knows exactly why I paired this, if you don't know why I paired this, you didn't watch the same movie I saw.
yes.
Red Saw, a nice little chainsaw graphic on it. So Red Saw, for those of you who don't know about Red Saw, and I'll tell you, I don't know about Red Saw, this will be a new taste for me. I've never had Red Saw. Red Saw is from a distillery out in New York that is no longer in existence.
Wow. So is that rare?
So this is, if you find these bottles, there will not be any more. But if it sucks, who cares?
That's true.
So we're going to find out, because it may have gone out of business because they suck.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Anything's
Reality is
possible.
there's probably
Anything's possible.
a good likelihood that that's the reason, right?
Maybe. I'm really hoping that just, COVID or something took him under, or I shouldn't say I hope that, but
Wow.
No, that's a bit rough.
let's just
That doesn't
say
bode very well for them.
let's just say I hope it was some other reason other than
Lon
that
is
they
such a
suck.
tastemaker that, like, when he says he doesn't like something,
Yeah.
That's what it is.
He
They-
just
they
goes
tank.
down.
Well, I haven't tried it yet. I don't know. This could be delicious. This is going to be delicious.
well, it already has a good sign, the fact that it has a proper top to it, and,
cork.
not a screw top.
Agreed. So now one of the other things with this bourbon is that it is a 96 proof.
a
So
little
it's
bit
not
low.
a weak
Yep.
proofed bourbon. And it is a bourbon. And as we know, or those of you who know who are bourbon people or have watched the show and seen what we talk about bourbon means that it's got to be aged at least 5 years. Now, I've read online that this bourbon is between 3 and 5 years, but legally, if it's less than 5, it can't be a bourbon. And this is labeled as a straight bourbon whiskey. Straight also means that it is not colored. There are no additives. It goes straight from the cask into the bottle with no other additives other than water to make it the right proof. So technically, the color we're seeing here is the proper color. Let's get this on this new microphone. Oh. Okay, all right. Okay, all right.
Had a little too much fun with that.
Okay, that's
I like to.
yeah. Clear that
Clear
nose
my
palate. Yeah. I'll wait to say something. I don't want to say anything yet. We're going to rate it too before I get their opinions too far into it, because it's better if we all rate at the same time and nobody knows what the other people are going to rate, so we're not influenced by each other's rating.
Now,
Okay.
I have had it where I smell it in the bottle. Not a big fan of it. Once I get it in the glass.
Absolutely. That happens a lot.
Well, yeah, it's
Logan?
as they say, a bigger hole versus a smaller hole, right?
Excuse me?
Where are we going
Okay.
with that?
All right, so this is Red Saw,
Okay.
96 proof, made in New York State.
This stuff's made in New York City.
Yeah,
New York
let's
City.
think about that. Think about that. A lot of the bourbons are Tennessee bourbons or Kentucky bourbons. Can you hear that drinking on the? Can you?
Yes.
Yeah, let's
I'll
do
slow
a little
down.
ASMR.
Are you triggered yet?
Jesus.
Well, haven't you
No.
got a burn going down?
Okay, so one thing before we rate it real quick, I do want to specify the mash bill on this. This is a 51% corn because that's what you have to be a bourbon. But then it's 37% rye, and the rest is going to be the barley. So technically, you're getting a lot of spice. That's a lot of rye in there. This is a high rye bourbon.
High rye?
It's not a rye whiskey.
Just a high rye.
51% corn, it's a high rye. All right, let's rate it.
All right, we're rating it.
So again, for the people that have watched us from the beginning, which of course is everyone, right? We have a 1 through 5 barrel scale that we rate things on. And originally we thought, how would we ever need anything more than a 1 through 5 scale? And then we very quickly realized that there's a big gap between a 2 and a 3. And so we fill it in with the other numbers that we have left in our 1 through 5 scale.
So the flaw in our logic is that if you're giving it a 3.5,
That's basically a 4.
That's basically a 4 because we don't have a 3.6 or a 7 or 3.85 or anything like that.
Okay.
Next point up would be a 3. So, all right, Logan, you ready?
I'm ready.
And we do also historically
Price.
get these things around the wrong way. So
No, just Logan does.
Oh,
We're
okay.
pretty good with that.
It's a lot easier with one number, though.
Yes.
Just don't look at the screen. Just know the
trying
right
not to.
hand is the
Okay.
bigger number. Okay, ready?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right, what do we got? Logan, what do you got? A 1?
A 1. Wow. Wow. So
Mr. Price?
I had
I gave it a 1. Logan gave it a 1.
a 2.3.
I gave it a 2.5, and I was being generous.
Well, I thought my 2.3 was being generous.
Yeah, that's probably correct. All right, Mr. Lynch, what the hell?
So I'm probably the novice out of everybody for all this stuff, but honestly, that tastes like liquid ass.
Liquid ass.
I am not a fan.
Liquid ass.
Do we have a
Well, you know what?
comparison?
Actually, I should say it probably tastes like the stuff that came out of the pipe in the movie.
No? Wow, brutal.
Well, so
Yeah,
so
I know there's notes
Now
of
I
like,
see why the company went out of.
when you say the notes of oak or
There's-
vanilla, I've never heard of liquid ass being
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah,
notes
no,
for
there's-
I don't think the marketing company.
The only note I
gonna
give
be
it is
using that.
ugh. There is that a note.
So I'm trying to remember what you rated Zachariah Harris.
I honestly think this is worse than Zachariah.
Oh, really?
Harris, yes.
Oh, I don't.
I
I
will
don't.
go and
Holy
say that.
crap,
I,
will go
I
on.
don't think it's
disagree.
worse than
So
Zachariah Harris.
Zachariah Harris is one we tried, I don't know,
Tell
8, 10
them how
shows ago.
pricey it was.
I think
though.
that was the original, wasn't it?
No. Was it?
Because it was for
No, for
Skinnamarink.
Skinamarink. So Skinamarink, has anybody seen Skinamarink? Let's get a show of hands.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we apologize that you had to watch it.
If you haven't,
We're
go
upset
watch a
that we had
review.
to
It's
watch
better
it.
than the actual movie.
If
It
you
is.
really want to watch Skinamarink and you haven't, it's your own funeral. You go ahead if you want to. But, so anyway, so we paired a bourbon with it. Skinamarink had no budget, and nobody knew what to expect with this movie because it had a lot of people online were like, "Oh, it's the scariest movie ever."
Like that
And-
stupid Blair
right,
Witch
and
project.
so we bought a bourbon. I found a bourbon that was $8. $8 bourbon called Zachariah Harris.
And we would have returned it if we could.
Because we figured it was low budget and you weren't sure what you were going to get. It could have been fantastic. Spoiler, it wasn't. But we had to try it. So Zachariah Harris is what we consider the bottom of the barrel, except for tonight. Logan rated this below Zachariah Harris. I'm very
Hey,
upset.
Zachariah Harris is still around, so
I'm very, whoa.
to give you an idea. Just saying.
And what and how much was it in Florida?
They wanted $38.
$38. So it's considered a high-end whiskey in
What?
Florida.
It's an import.
yeah.
Florida. Nope.
Okay, so
I'll let you guys move
Logan,
on.
I'm sorry, Warwick,
Yeah.
what do you think of it?
It's not good, but it's not horrible. Like literally, when we're going to keep referring to Zachariah Harris, our review was basically, it's alcohol.
Yeah, it tasted like watered down moonshine. I
You
didn't
know,
taste any whiskey at all. in it.
It's like, and I think it was only 48%.
I think it was a little higher than that, but barely.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure.
But anyway, but the point is, it's like, you know, if all your goal was just, oh, God damn it, if all your goal was just to get drunk, it would probably get you there.
$8. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Smell
but
reminds
this
me of
is
I don't know.
it's really so. I see. I
Okay.
don't.
So
Sorry.
here's my thoughts. I think what's turning you guys off is the rye.
But there's sweet. There's
There's a-
there's sweetness
that's
to.
turning me
Well,
off
sure,
is
there's
the
barley
taste.
in it. There's barley in it, and there's corn, and corn's very sweet. But you've got this thing against rye, Logan. I think you're not a rye guy.
I'm not, but honestly though, I'll try anything. But I think I'm done with that. Like I don't even want to finish that bottle. Let's put it that way.
He's not very.
Wow.
He's not
That's
very
how that's how
white for a
upsetting.
rye guy.
No.
No.
I had high hopes. Red Saw, come on. No.
Yeah,
Yeah, Red Saw. Great name, right? It plays right into the movie.
Pretty good label. I don't say it's the best, but
This is definitely not a reflection on the movie.
no.
Let's
No.
put it that way. I tried to pair it. I based it on the name. Shame on me. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Let other people
So
see.
they
what's
can
not
see.
to
And,
buy
and
them.
one of the other things again, we've commented. I think this is episode going to be 14 or 15, something like that.
Sure.
So-
I don't
so-
watch them, so I don't know.
So we've reviewed a lot of bourbons, and one of the things that we've discovered and realized is horror movies by nature is
Right.
probably not necessarily the highest quality alcohol is going to go with it.
Yeah, we're not going to find a movie that we can match Lagavulin 16 year.
Well, American Psycho maybe.
Okay.
But like, you know,
I've got a bourbon set aside for that. by the way. I really do. I'm not kidding.
but so it's like, you know, that's the problem. And, you know, Lon is our bourbon whiskey expert. Wow, look at the spider. Look at the spider.
Nice.
Dude,
Let him finish. Let him finish. He's
let
good.
him
Okay.
kill
Look
that
at him, man.
thing.
That is like going.
But
all the way
like,
over
but he
there.
went like all the way down here and then up.
Poor guy.
It will come after me and it will bite me
They
and
will
kill
eat
it.
the mosquitoes if there's ever any mosquitoes.
Anybody
left.
here love spiders? Wow, everybody.
Wow.
Look at you guys. Practically everybody. It's yours if you want to take them home.
Yeah, that's for a trivia question.
No. Yeah, it looks like a dust spider. But anyway, all right. So
So what was your
mine
review?
was
of
a
it?
2.5, and I think that it's actually not that bad, but it's certainly not good. The rye is what I think is turning you guys off. I think there's enough of a spice to it and a sweetness at the beginning that you're just not there with it. I don't think this doesn't taste like it's aged 5 years to me. This tastes like it could be about 3 years. But it's still, do I say palatable? I wouldn't throw it out. I wouldn't buy it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the point. I mean, in other words, for me, I think I gave Zachariah Harris a 2, and that was that's when we were so early on that I was like, well, clearly we're gonna ultimately review things that are worse than this, so I gave it a 2 just to give us some room for doing something terrible.
Yeah.
But it's so this is a little bit better than Zachariah Harris.
A little bit better? I think it's a lot better than Zachariah Harris. I can taste this. I can't taste Zachariah Harris.
You can't?
Well, no. Can you?
I can taste it.
Did you like Zachariah Harris?
No, not at all.
What the hell?
But I can still. You can't say you can't taste it.
It tastes like nothing. It tastes like watered down moonshine to me.
Still better than this.
Anyway,
You know what? $8, people. Go splurge. Go buy Zachariah Harris. Come back to the show, and you'll join my side on the darkness.
well, and also truly, like about 2/3 of the bottle is still in the cupboard back
we
there.
have some here?
Oh, we do.
Because nobody wants it.
So
Yeah, there you go. We'll have out some samples later.
So here's
We'll
the
hand out
deal.
some samples.
So after this episode, we'll do the finishing the bottle episode.
Oh, that's a good time.
Maybe we'll bring it out.
Yeah.
The gap between the two, maybe.
Yeah, then we can do a head-to-head on that.
You know, we can have a taste test, and you guys can give us your reviews of Zachariah Harris.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's growing on me a little bit. Enough to where I'm not going to lower my rating. Not going to raise it, but I'm not going to lower it.
I've already had 2 sips. Usually that first one's kind of the kicker for me, and then the second one's like, okay, I'm getting it now.
But Logan, I mean this with the utmost respect. You're a pussy.
I'll take it, but
I love you
when
like a
everybody
brother.
else
That's what she
agrees with me, I'm going to laugh. That's all I'm saying. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to go from bad, in my opinion, to
Reviewing the movie.
reviewing a movie.
Don't say a word. Let's
I
rate
didn't say
this.
shit.
Do we even need to, though? I mean,
I
this
don't
is
know.
one of those movies that...
All right.
Okay, so what you guys can do, don't shout it out, but like, you know, think in your own head what you would give this movie as a rating.
You sound like a preschool teacher
Yeah.
when you're saying that. Think of your
Raise
reviews.
your hand
Then put your
first.
head down on your desk.
It's gonna be
There
somebody else.
will be a test afterwards. Literally, there will be a test afterwards because we're
There-
getting
there
we're
actually
doing
will be a
trivia.
test.
There will be
I
a
know.
test.
Yeah. Called a quiz.
Well, and anyone, you know, everyone believes me because of the English
British accent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Do you say British accent or English accent?
English accent.
Because we speak English.
Yes,
Don't
but
we have an English accent?
no,
We have a
you have
USA
you have an
accent.
American accent.
Yeah.
We have American accent?
American.
All right.
America.
Okay. Let's
Okay.
rate this movie.
Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Nice.
Oh, look at that!
I think
There you
we.
go. Wow, I rated it. You guys only rated it 4? Fuck you both. Really?
I have very high standards. Unlike
And this
somebody
didn't
else.
meet them.
It
No,
did
I
a really good job.
I thought this is.
yeah,
I
a 4
I
is
thought
a high.
this was good.
Okay.
It is
okay.
going to be very rare for me to give something a 5.
I dig it, but this franchise and specific movies in there, and I'll just say it, especially 2, is
But I
probably
think
to me a 5.
But I think that's the point. I'm trying not to hit the table because I know it messes up the speakers, microphones.
You'll hit
But-
your microphone anyway. It's okay.
But I mean, it's like the reason I gave it a 4 and not higher was because I think this is a great movie.
I'm sorry. We should specify for those who are just listening
Oh,
in
yes.
what
Oh,
your
sorry.
ratings are.
Warwick, I gave it a 4.
Logan.
I'm Logan, and I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 4.3 because I know what good movies are.
Uh-huh.
Just like you like Red Saw.
So, but anyway, so my point is, it's
And I'm the only one with a palate for Red Saw, apparently, as well as.
okay. We're moving on to the
It
movie.
tastes like
people.
a pallet, like a wooden pallet. Hey,
No,
now.
no, that would taste better.
This is why I sit between them.
Yeah. Let me at 'em.
Most of the time, I just let them fight. But anyway, so like my thought is, I love this movie. This is probably truly the 25th or 26th time I've watched it, but it's like, you know, watching it this last couple of times and tonight with a more critical eye than I would normally. It's not perfect. There's a lot of things in this movie that just make not so much don't make any sense. But like just
Hold up.
stupid stuff.
Hold up. Hold up. This was made by practically college students.
Oh, I don't dis-
This was made on a budget of around $300,000.
$350,000.
Thanks for that specific number.
But
The point is,
but that's
what
why it's
they
a
were
4
able
and
to
not.
accomplish is amazing.
I 100% agree, but that still doesn't mean that I can't see the things that were just weird about the movie. Okay, let's start at the very beginning of the movie. It's Ash's car. Why is he in the back seat?
Maybe if they were driving for 5-10 hours.
It was his turn to swap.
Yeah.
They were swapping driving. God, be
They're
creative. would
they're
you?
going camping for the weekend.
Yeah?
Why are they going so far that they need to swap
They drove
driving?
to Tennessee.
Yeah.
They're from Michigan. They drove to Tennessee. That's a long drive.
I'll take one of my trivia
Sir.
questions away.
Well, that's inherent. That's kind of obvious to me. But I understand what you're saying, but I can't give it any knocks down, any points down for those because they're few. Yes, there's continuity errors. Yes, there's a lot of audio errors. But look at what they did with this. Look at there was not even critic reviews that were bad for this movie.
I don't disagree. I said it is a great movie. I love this movie. I just think that as we're trying to be a little bit more critical about things, or certainly I am, because I'm trying to do movie reviews. You know, there are just things that just aren't perfect about the movie. Again, I don't dispute the fact that to take the franchise as a whole, it's probably one of the best horror franchises out there. Certainly, you know, repeatedly, movie after movie after movie that is of quality, unlike some other franchises that just ran way too long, and there were some good ones at the beginning and some crappy ones in the middle. And,
Scream. Scream.
well, let's like Nightmare on Elm Street and
Yeah, and pretty much all of the others.
pretty much all of the others.
Yeah, no, you're right. This is the only one that didn't have a sinker or stinker in the group.
Absolutely.
I think.
But and the other thing that's interesting about this one is, so this one is taken was originally shot as a serious movie. You know, in other words, it's a serious horror movie. So in other words, it wasn't really. Now you're going to say no. This is like.
I'll say it later.
In episode 53.
I'll wait. I'll wait.
But it's like, you know, it was shot to be a regular horror movie. It's not until there were comedic parts that kind of crept in, or things that became funny. Like one of the things that Raimi talked about in many interviews that he's talked about, obviously, about this movie, is that when they were trying to get distribution for the movie,
Right.
One of the distributors that watched the movie came out and was like, "Oh my God, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen." And he's like,
There was some laughter here, you know,
Oh,
in certain scenes there was laughter because it's funny. It's over the top. This wasn't done before.
right, exactly. Some of the over the top part is why I gave it a 4. It's the
You didn't like the over the top part?
no,
Or
no,
that's
no.
what
I did,
helped
but
you get to
no,
a
but in
4?
other words, I think some of the laughter came from the ridiculousness of some
Okay.
of the.
Okay. No, I
So-
agree.
some of the scenes.
I agree.
I
Logan?
I liked it. I gave it a 4 only because I'm just being picky. I did not have issues with, you know, some of the parts that you mentioned. I can overlook a lot because I felt like the way they did things was pretty. They did a really good job, especially the director. I noticed a lot of. This is going to make me sound like I actually know what I'm talking about, but duality. There was a lot of, you know, certain things that they had. You know, like where Ash is kind of keeping his eyes closed when he's giving her the box, you know, and then when he's burying her, it's the same thing, but it's the
Right,
opposite,
she's
right?
looking
Like
at him.
the way they kind of bounce back and forth with certain things like that. I thought they did a really good job, you know, especially for that type of budget. I think that's what made me give it a 4. Would I give it a 5? No, because of some of the little things, like some of the parts were a little bit cheesier than needed to be. My big gripe is towards the end, he grabs one of the desks, moves it by this giant ass window, and puts it up against the door. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm like, the person could just walk right into the window. You know, so
that he just shot through.
yeah, that he just shot through. So it's little things like that that I wouldn't nitpick, but I would nitpick any movie that, you know, I see because I'm the best critic ever. It's like I'm nitpicking this
so
bullshit.
I'm not going to
The best critic ever.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I'm not going to
So
necessarily
tell us
disagree
why
with
you think it deserves this 4.3 that you gave it.
Well, really, it's not much higher than what you guys gave it, but it's to me, out of the franchise, I do think 2 is better than this one. And
I agree.
And there's certain things to that. So first of all, and I don't know if this is the
What was
time
the
to go
budget
into
on
this or
2?
not, but
Probably like
2
5
is-
times this.
Yeah, 2
Yes.
is, well, more than that, more than that.
So
But
there
of
you
course,
go.
but that's the point. So 2, in case you do or do not know, and honestly, let me start by saying this. Evil Dead franchise has been around for a long time. You guys have probably heard a shit ton of trivia and facts and talks by Campbell, who's been out there talking about it forever, and even Sam Raimi, who's gone on interviews and whatever. It's been out there for so many years. Everybody's probably heard everything there is about this movie. So
We'll
it's
find out during trivia. won't we?
right. So it's very difficult to maybe come up with something that nobody's ever heard about. But we did a lot of research on these movies, and we've watched them. I've watched this movie probably 4 times in the past 3 days. 1, because we were going to be showing it here, but 2, because I just freaking enjoy it. So there's a lot of stuff that's out there. So if we say something that you guys know or have heard, bear with us. If we say something that you've heard different, I'd like to hear about it. We do know that Sam Raimi and actually Bruce Campbell have put out false information and false stories for the first several years this movie came out because they thought it was going to be interesting and they wanted to see who would believe it.
Right.
And then they've only come out in the past 10 years or so saying, yeah, well, that was bullshit. So you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt with a lot of this stuff. But we've done our research to find out what was actually true as far as we know.
And we found this on the internet.
Which has got to be true, right?
Therefore,
Everything that's on
Right.
that
Got it
never
from-
lies.
We did get stuff from his. I got stuff from Bruce Campbell's book, and they've done a lot of interviews. And I've taken more recent interviews because, as I said, they were kind of fibbing before. So I figured the more recent interviews are a little bit more factual. So
Do tell.
you
I'm
want me to tell you
interested.
something? So
Yeah,
everybody
let's hear it,
knows
let's hear
why
it.
it was okay. Evil Dead 2. Do you guys consider it a sequel or a remaking? It's a requel. So the thing is, it was designed as being a remake that became a sequel. And the reason for that is the original movie, they signed the rights away. Sam Raimi signed the rights away to the Evil Dead movie, but they kept the rights to the characters. So when they wanted to tell the restore, or when they wanted to do the sequel for it, the production company, which I believe was New Moon, was it New Moon that did it?
No, New Line.
New Line
Line,
Cinema.
yeah.
Right.
Or Lionsgate. Well,
No,
that's the newer one.
New
They
Line, yeah.
owned the rights to it, so they couldn't use any footage from the original movie to retell. So what they decided to do was remake the first movie in the first half of the film and then make it a sequel from the second half on. So the part where Bruce, his character, Ash, flies through the air and is yelling and he's spinning and through the woods and he ends up in the pool of water in Evil Dead 2. That's where the sequel picks up. So this last scene that you saw in the movie here where the camera jumps in and ends right on Sam's face is where that movie
Ashes.
ends, and the flying through the air is where this one begins. Part 2 begins.
Well, and actually, it's funny that exact scene. That's also one of the let's say famous lies that happen. Because so in other words, depending on what part of the trivia and when the trivia you've read was released, supposedly the camera hit him in the face and knocked out like 2
That
teeth.
was one of those stories.
Right.
That was a story.
And again, it was done purely just to make the movie more interesting.
Right. Didn't actually happen.
And about like 5-10 years ago, Campbell in one of his many live appearances, like, yeah, that didn't happen. It's like we just made it up to make
that
it
was one of those things that
sound
they did.
cool.
Keep it interesting.
One of those lies.
But so like some of the things that's like I think is just interesting is like so the cabin, they searched everywhere for the cabin and finally picked the cabin that they did, and it used to I don't know, house horses or whatever, because like originally when they went in there was no power, there's no electricity, power is electricity, like there's no water, there's no like anything in it, and it was like disgusting in there, so they had to basically fix.
You do that. You gotta tame. What are you, Italian?
I think
Put those hands in.
I know.
Jeez.
But they had to like fix the fix the cabin up and actually bring electricity into it and like water into it and things like that, just so they can actually use it. The cabin was freezing, had no heating, had no anything, and so it was like a really, really unpleasant experience to be there.
Yeah. And just to clarify, they didn't actually get water like plumbed
No.
in. They carried water in buckets.
Right. But sometimes like they were recording late into the night, and so people like stayed at the cabin rather than having to like drive down to where they had a house being shared, but
Which was not close.
no.
But they did that. Now, also, one of the reasons that Sam said they did that, Sam Raimi, was he said that because they left the equipment there. There's a lot of equipment. They didn't want it to be stolen.
Right.
So he made everybody kind of stay there for the night. And at one point, it was so brutally cold. By the way, this was filmed in Tennessee. They are from Michigan. They went down to Tennessee to find a cabin because they figured, hey, at this time of year, it's got to be warmer in Tennessee than it is in Michigan. And then Tennessee had a record cold snap while they were shooting where it got down below 20 degrees. And they were just out there in pretty much no jackets. And you can see in some parts of the movie, in the scenes, you can see their breath when they're talking or screaming or whatever. So they were freezing.
And it's like it froze cameras.
It did. They had to warm them up by the fire before they could start shooting for the day.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. So like, obviously budget was super, super low. One of the other people, I can't remember whether it was the people that left, they mentioned the fact that if you look at the credits at the end, Bruce Campbell is listed as an executive producer. And that was basically because the production ran out of money. And so he and, Sam Raimi and Robert Tappert, they like raised money by like mortgaging houses and stuff like that. And so Raimi added him as an exec producer because that was the only way they were going to get the thing finished.
Because they raised enough money to start it. They did not have enough money to finish it.
Other interesting thing related to that, and again, people watching the credits might have noticed there's an entire section where it talks about fake shemps.
Oh, does everybody know what a fake shemp is?
Okay, so
Do tell.
okay.
Do tell.
So actually,
they were even listed, credited.
Sam Raimi coined the phrase "the fake shemp." The fake shemps came up because of the fact that the crew that they had paid, all the actresses and actors that they paid, the money ran out, and so they did principal photography, and they all left. And then Raimi and Tappert and Campbell looked at the movie and went, okay, well, there's some scenes missing that we need to kind of make up. So a lot of the scenes where you see the person, nowadays it's called like blocking, but it's like, a lot of scenes where you see people like over the shoulder, or you don't really see their face, or certainly when you see the characters who have, I'm not going to say zombified, but like transformed,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's not the original character. That's friends, family.
You can see
Cheryl
when
seemed a little tall in some of those scenes.
Right. Somebody pops up, and all of a sudden they look way more deformed than they did a second ago.
That's part of the reason why I gave it 4 is because there's scenes where, like, all of a sudden, what's his name, Scott, his hair goes like gray.
Because they didn't have
I'm
the proper
assuming,
wigs.
yeah, they had to get a wig of some sort.
This was a low-budget movie.
Right.
Oh, I get it.
But so the point is, there was enough of them that they got their own page on the credits. But so what a fake shemp really is, though, is so back to the Three Stooges days. Shemp Howard, who is one of the Stooges.
Everybody here know Three Stooges, please? Okay, good. Just checking.
So Shemp Howard died. He died. And
thanks for that emphasis.
Wow.
Like you do.
He died.
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 I love that.
He's dead now.
Yeah.
And the Three Stooges had a 4-picture deal with Columbia Pictures, and Columbia Pictures, being the assholes that they are, decided that they were going to sue them unless they fulfilled their obligation to produce, I think, 3 more pictures. And so they created a fake person that every time it was supposed to be Shemp Howard's character in the movie. Again, it was like you saw him over the shoulder, or they would like cut in stills of him from other movies and bring him in. And so that was known as the fake Shemp. So other people had used it but hadn't necessarily coined that phrase. Raimi was the first person who actually really called it out and called it fake Shep. A lot of people did it afterwards,
sure.
all the way up until, kind of not horror related, but Back to the Future 2, Crispin Glover. So Crispin Glover, who was obviously Marty McFly's dad in 1, he famously hated Bob Gale, who was the producer of Back to the Future. And so Bob Gale was like, well, screw him, I'm not going to bring him into the movie, subsequent movies, when they knew they were going to be doing 2 and 3. But they realized that they had to have that character in the show for continuity of the movie. And so there's lots of scenes where you see the back of Crispin Glover's head, but you never see the front of, you never see his face. You just see he's in the scene, you hear his voice, but you never actually see his face. Crispin Glover sued and won. Undisclosed amount of money that he actually won, but basically that lawsuit made the Screen Actors Guild make it that it is a stipulation that you are not allowed to use someone's likeness without paying them.
Right, which is a little different, I think, than what they did here in this movie, because they used fake Sheps, but there was all masks. You didn't know.
Right. Well, yeah,
okay.
exactly. I mean, in other words, it's like, I don't think it was done for the same reason. In other words, it was just simply the fact they were out of money. I don't think any of the people that didn't come back
No, it wasn't
really
like
cared about it.
Right.
But anyway, so the fake Shemp went away after
And
Back to the Future 2.
Just so everybody here knows, this actually comes into play a lot. The fact that Raimi is a huge Three Stooges fan.
Mm.
Has anybody seen Evil Dead Rise yet? So this isn't spoiling anything for anybody, but there is a poster in the son's room he likes to do the DJing thing. There's a gigantic Three Stooges poster on the back, and that's a Raimi add-in, because he's a huge Three Stooges fan. If you've seen Evil Dead 2, you should know that he's a Three Stooges fan. They do so many Three Stooges bits all throughout that movie, especially near the second half of it, that it's clear. And even Army of Darkness, it's practically a Three Stooges movie with zombies. So, Logan,
Yeah, I've been
you've
awfully
been
quiet.
so quiet. I'm getting
No,
like,
but you guys
creeped
are on a
out.
roll. I did not want
I'm
to
getting
interrupt.
creeped out. Talk
Let
to
it
me,
go.
brother. Talk to me.
No, I'm kind of going back to, like, I guess I'll point out the bad stuff, since you guys just gave it a nice rub and tug. But I feel like there were certain parts where like the woman has been in the basement that whole time, and she could have easily pushed the thing open. Was this more of like a torture type of thing? Like they're just gonna let one of the other demons get him or
Yes.
something?
Yes,
but then
I
it's like
absolutely think so.
she could have she busts through the bottom of the floor. I'm like, why didn't she just bust the door open?
Right,
There's
right.
little things like that.
Or when
Sure.
they did go down into the cellar, like why didn't she come out then?
Yeah. Why don't they just? I don't know. No, it's. I was just being nitpicky with little things like that, because it's. They did. I feel like they did a really good job, and it's little things like that that kind of gets under your skin a little bit. So I get bothered by that, but I also
that
ignore it
seems
as
to
well.
be easily explained just by the simple fact that they are there to torment him.
But why? Okay, now my other question is, why didn't he become, I guess if you want to call it, like, infected?
Right.
Because it looked like if anybody got scratched or got,
Right.
and
Right.
they're biting his leg, they're ripping open his calf, they're doing all these different things to him, but
Because
yet he
he
never
believed.
Turns. So that's where I kind of went with the mindset of that he was like maybe pure of heart, but although I was a little frustrated, because if that's if one of the, like, every one of the women, whenever something happened, he was kind of just like, he kind of sat back. I'm like, hey, the Cheryl lady's talking about getting raped by a tree, and you're just kind of like, I guess we can leave, like, so
Scott
I don't
would
know.
have said that. Scott was an asshole. Scott
was a
one who should have died first. But
But you got to keep him on for, I guess, comic relief. But
Well, the other thing I think is funny is, and trust me, obviously almost every movie has this as an issue, but this is a classic movie where it's like, if they could have just tightened those chains on the cellar just
Yes.
a little bit tighter.
oh yeah,
but
yeah.
she pulled out the clamps. The
Well,
little clamps
Right,
that
but,
would-
Yeah.
but the only reason she was able to pull it out was because she was able to make enough movement
Yeah.
in it to, like, if
Okay.
they had
All right.
tightened it so that the cellar didn't even open, I think it would have been a totally different movie.
You guys
And
are
you could have
nitpicking.
ended the movie easily if Scott didn't turn it, back, fast forward and turn it on and let more demons out. I mean, you could technically do that.
So do you also think he was an expert in tape recorders though? Because it's like he did it from like he was lying over here, he just kind of like reached across and like knew how.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fast forward.
Operate it.
Yeah, he was a pro at it.
He was pro.
Yeah, but although I mean I would think so because he picked it up. He's like, I got the tape recorder, and brought it upstairs, so he knew about it.
So one thing I think we can all agree on is the gore in this movie is awesome. It is like they do a really good job of like they don't shy away from the kills. There's no like you see it for a split second and then it moves away. It's like no, they'll watch you as the pencil goes into her Achilles. And it's like moving it around and stuff.
With the crunching noise.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
So interestingly, obviously, yes, I'm from England. In the 80s, I know it's hard to
never knew that.
Like in the late 70s, 80s, we had this thing called video nasties, and it was a list, and you had it over here as well.
Yeah.
So it was like a list of movies that like were banned, and this was banned in England.
This movie was banned in Germany as of about 10 years ago.
Yeah, 2016, right?
Yeah, 2016. Yeah, I think it was 2016. But yeah, this movie was still banned in Germany, and that was mainly for the tree raping scene.
Yes, which again, another lots of interviews about this. That was supposed to simply be like the trees were attacking her. It was not
in
supposed
the script. It was that.
Yeah, it was never supposed to be sexual. It was never supposed to be like anything like that.
I think she liked it at one point, but that's. I heard some moaning. I was like screaming, moaning.
The audio that was the only scene that Sam Raimi has outspokenly said he regrets filming that much of it. He thinks he let it go a little bit too far.
Well, especially just like the final branch, like.
Right.
It's like gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because they didn't even touch it as much in Evil Dead 2.
Right.
They made it much more mild of an attacking in Evil Dead 2. But then the remake in 2016 or 2013, when they remade, they went all out with that scene.
But the other thing, that's another classic moment of, so she comes back in the house, and the first thing says like, did something happen in the forest? No. This is what I always look like.
Well, so the other thing this was another nitpicky thing.
Oh, great!
She would not even go downstairs with a flashlight to see what was down there. But yet, I hear something out in the woods, and I'm gonna go walk out in my nighty for a good quarter mile and just see what the hell's out here. I hear somebody. I'm kind of like,
and
okay.
I know
Who's
you're
there?
out there,
Hello?
right? Like they're gonna say, "Oh, it's us trees."
Yeah.
Well, and to exactly that point, especially to the fact that she says, "I heard you in the basement." It's like, so clearly she knew that it was like something not good.
Yes. So let's go investigate.
She sensed it.
And she got it.
So we should, in the Finishing the Bottle episode, we should talk about, I think, the trilogy.
We could do that.
And how it compared. We won't do that this second.
Should we start doing?
You want to do? Well, there's a lot of other stories to tell.
Oh.
Do you have any stories about it?
I don't have any stories. I just got a lot of trivia.
Would you guys like to hear another story about the Evil Dead?
Yes.
Got a couple nods out there. A couple of people are like, okay.
Yeah. When is this over?
So, for instance, the two people on the side of the road, which I know is a trivia question somewhere in there. You know what? I'm going to wait till you ask that trivia, and then I'll give the story behind it. How about that?
Okay.
Okay, because that's probably pretty interesting. We talked about the fact that they were pretty much out there, and this is guerrilla filmmaking, right? They were just out there doing it. They brought all their equipment with it. They're out in the middle of nowhere. They're filming what they can film. They filmed it in 16 millimeter because they wanted smaller cameras and be able to be portable.
And it was cheaper.
And they then upgraded it later, and they had to raise money separately just to upgrade it to 35, which is what theaters needed, so that they would be actually distributed. So they had a lot of things that they had to work with, right? Little bad things that they had to work with. I did want to mention the fly thing. So if you've seen Evil Dead Rise, and if you stay to the end, the very end of the credits, you can hear a fly buzzing.
And if you went to a really good theater, it literally
right over your
flies
head.
like all around you. It's really, really cool.
So that was an homage to this movie because this movie started and ended with a fly. I'm hitting it like you now. I think I'm British. Started and ended with a fly buzzing. Meaning, is that your trivia?
Yeah.
Oh, too bad. So, literally, that's why we stayed till the end. Let it play to the end because it had that fly buzzing at the end. So that was one of those things. That I guess that is kind of trivia.
That comes down to like what I was saying too with the whole duality. It's like here's the beginning. They have the fly starting. That's the very first sound you hear, and then you have it at the very end as well. So I like how the director he seemed to keep tabs on a lot of that stuff. So.
Yeah.
One of the other things, not necessarily trivia, but just like I thought was interesting, was I don't know whether nowadays, probably for insurance purposes, it's a requirement, but because of the low budget of this, they had no gun guy. There was
This
no
is true.
There was no official person that like took care of all of the firearms. When they realized that they needed a shotgun as part of the movie, Campbell went to the local Kmart. And border
I think it was S-Mart.
S-Mart, okay. Well,
Shop
whatever.
S-Mart.
Smart.
Somebody got that.
And bought a shotgun. And so whilst they definitely had blanks, a lot of the times when you actually see, like when you see him shoot out the window, that was real shot gun
They used
pellets.
real shotguns on a lot of things, actually. They just try to make sure actors out of the way, but that was a real shotgun with real shells. They
So-
did have some blanks, but most of them were real shells.
Talking about shells, and hopefully this isn't someone's trivia, because I just didn't think it was worth the trivia. So
I agree.
sorry if you did.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Um,
Well, the trivia part
sorry.
is the fact that he talks about the fact that it's a 12 gauge shotgun, but the yellow cartridges are actually 10 gauge.
Right, and it's a single barrel, not
Not a
even a
single
double barrel. That he's, yeah. So another thing about the movie is that the cabin that they've got didn't actually have a cellar. It was literally just a cabin. It was, I believe, actually a hunting cabin when they got it. The original cabin that they had planned out canceled 2 weeks before they were going to shoot. So they decided they went looking around and somebody said, hey, you can use our cabin if you make sure you leave it the way you found it. They didn't. They actually built the fireplace in it. It had no fireplace. They built a fireplace in it. Lucky for them they did because then the cold snap happened. But they didn't actually have a cellar, so they cut a hole in the floor and dug down about a 4-foot ditch. And you can see if you watch the movie when they kind of peer in from the side, you can see one wall of that is dirt where the stairs are. Yet when he goes down it, then it's an expansive cavern. And there was no tunnel down there. The actual cellar was Sam Raimi's basement
I thought it was Rob Tuppert's
and Rob Tuppert's
farm.
his summer home or his lake house
Right.
basement. So they shot at that, and part of it was actually Sam Raimi's garage as well. But so they basically filmed those portions afterwards, which is another reason they used a lot of fake shemps in those scenes too. But they actually didn't even have a cellar.
The other thing I thought was actually funny, not necessarily story or trivia or anything, but like, so you have this cabin in the woods, and the scenes where, this lighting I think is just a funny thing in this movie.
He's a genius at lighting this movie.
But
This
like
is beautifully lit.
So you have this crappy cabin that like is falling apart, whatever. But there's points in where it's dark outside where they're at the front of the cabin, and there are two huge spotlights that like are shining down from the corner of the cabin. That and the part when Campbell and when they go in the car to leave, there's that whole like just incredibly bright light coming from
behind
from inside.
Yeah, I
them.
got kind of like a Close Encounters feeling while
Yeah.
watching that part. I was
Willing
like,
suspension of disbelief, you motherfuckers.
But was
Willing
that coming
suspension
from
of
from the fireplace?
low budget?
yes.
They did great lighting on this.
No,
Don't you
I was
agree?
pretty
Don't you
impressed with
think?
it.
Yeah.
Another gripe. This is me picking.
He was pretty impressed.
I'm sorry.
Another gripe.
That was not a very big building. You're in the back of the building, and you
It's
hear
the
somebody.
TARDIS.
You hear somebody screaming, banging on the door. Why did it take them like 2 minutes to get to the door to open it to let?
It was a deceptively small looking on the outside cabin because they've only showed you the front of it. I thought the same thing for years.
Yeah, that bothered me a
But
little bit.
if you look at the last pan of the camera coming through from the backfield through the hut, you can see the cabin actually stretches way back.
Oh, but
So-
yeah, you wouldn't be able to hear
No.
somebody screaming.
One
when you're
actually
the only
other-
one
I
out
don't
of
know.
the
I've never been in that cabin.
One other interesting thing, though, is people have sought out where the cabin is and was. Cabin has, it's not there. but the fireplace is there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can still see the
But
original.
you know why it's not there anymore?
No.
Vandals burned it down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It got burned to the ground. That's why the fireplace is the only thing left
Because it's
standing.
made out of brick.
Because they were getting rid of the Necromanicon.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, race cars are out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. Shall we get some trivia going?
Let's get some trivia going.
All right.
Oh, we got trivia.
All right, trivia. Now we have some giveaways.
So,
we have
so,
some things to...
so one of the other things that's...
No fights during trivia.
Oh, hang on. We'll use our camera. Look
There
at
you
that.
Oh,
Those
we
are
can see you
Now you're-
fighting.
We can see you fighting now.
That's only an 18th of our audience, but
Okay, boring.
yeah, you want to get back. There you go. Okay, all right. All right.
So, but one thing I did want to say is, so like I'm not going to say pride ourselves, but like we purposely watch the movies separately ahead of time, and we come up with our like information ahead of time, and purposely don't talk about it, so that when we do our barrel reveal, it's like, what?
Kind of hard to.
But
do
so
on this one.
so often we find, as you've probably already heard, it's sometimes we'll talk about stuff and either one of these two will say like, oh, damn, that was my trivia question. So I don't know.
I've already spoiled some of Logan's, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have
my
like, you know,
goal.
30,
I got
30
a
to 20.
shit ton, so I'm good.
All right.
Okay. So how do we want to do this?
Well, you tell me. So we've got a lot of giveaways. We've got at least, oh geez, what is that? 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I got a box of shit here. So
Shall we show some of the things that we've got here?
yeah,
Has
so,
anybody gotten to see
well,
any of these? You probably can't even see these, right?
I don't know if they can.
So
they're-
we've got a set of magnet posters. They're big sellers down at Ghoulish Mortals below. And
228 West Main Street, St. Charles,
good
Illinois.
plug. So what we've got is a set of Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness, as well as a set of the remake from 2013, the TV show Ash vs. Evil Dead, and of course Evil Dead Rise, the newest one that just came out this past weekend.
And
Yep, and your
My-
arms are too
pin.
short.
My T-Rex arms.
almost dropped it in the red saw. That would have been bad.
Yep,
It would have just disintegrated.
you got upside down. There
Yeah.
you go. It's an Ash Williams
Why
pin.
is it a double pin? Is it like
There you go.
Because it's big.
All these are donated by Black Martin Brands.
you don't know anything about them?
And then
Available online and also especially Ghoulish Mortals, 228 West Main Street, St. Charles, Illinois.
I like how you turned my plug into your plug. That was good.
long as it's not a
so
butt
you're
plug, I
turned
guess
into
we're
my
okay.
plug, and then I was going to say Logan's the butt plug. Okay, what else we got?
I'm the butt plug.
And then we also have an Ash Williams picture available in the store, Ghoulish Mortals, 228 West Main Street, St. Charles, Illinois, by Ben Russell, awesome artist. So we have a lot of his stuff in the store. Won't repeat it. And then we also have the Creme de la Creme prize.
This one is going to be a super tough one. This is
Hope
a
you're
Book
paying
of the
attention.
Dead. This has got all the artwork that was in the actual
cannot say any of the
movie
spells while in
Book
this
of
building,
the
though.
Dead.
Yes. Go home before you say
If
anything.
you went page by page in the movie, these are the pages they flipped through that are in all 3 movies. They used the same pages. They added a few when they got to Army of Darkness, but literally it's the same book, different covers. So this technically is the cover from Evil Dead 2, because you saw the one from this one. This was a little bit more yellowy and a little bit more, but it's actually 3-dimensional. You'd see it if you came up here, the ear and the eyes. It's actually embossed.
It is not made from human skin, just to be clear.
We can't verify if it's made from human skin. Let's just say that.
I cannot confirm
So,
nor deny.
This is going to be a super tough, because this is a collectible item, this is a super tough question. We may ask to, if nobody gets it, it may not go home with anybody. So brush
And-
up on your trivia.
And just FYI, Lon actually bought 2 of those. This is the one that they come in a little bag. This is the one that he opened. Are you deciding which one they get? Because I realized
Not now.
okay, there's only one of them, and that's that
No,
one
no,
right
no.
there.
There is an unopened sealed one.
So the point is, there's only one to give away, but the point is you can have the sealed one.
This was because I wanted to show everybody the pages that were inside, which are pretty badass.
They are
Sexy.
indeed. Okay.
So-